Hello and welcome to Pisces Moon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kait Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hi everyone. Welcome to the very last week of November. And wow, how fast is the year going? I can't even believe we're almost to the end. Anyway, guess what? I am not talking about Pluto. You're welcome. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about November 24th through November 30th. And what's happening then? Well, some big things. On November 24th, Mercury turns retrograde. And then on November 30th, we have our second, count 'em, number 2, new moon. And both of these things are happening in Sagittarius. I think this is very big. First, let's review really quickly what Sagittarius is all about. He's the archer aiming at that distant target, right? He's the sign of the visionary, the philosopher, the guru. He's optimism and expansion. He's ruled by the greater benefic, according to ancient astrologers, Jupiter. The most blessed planet in the sky, right? So this is a wonderful, optimistic sign. Everybody loves it. We all get the warm and fuzzies about it. Now, I will say that the one thing that it's not great at is what we do tomorrow. Right? He's the visionary. He looks way out at the horizon and says, here's my long-term goal. Here's what I'm shooting for. What he's not great at is what we do tomorrow, what we do the next day. How do we take these steps to go there? Because the archer doesn't work that way, right? He just pulls back whatever that string part of it is. He pulls that back and launches the arrow to the target. He's not walking it there inch by inch. And I think even that might be kind of a good thing for us right now. Let me explain. Given the general mood right now, and I'm talking US politics, I'm talking world politics, but what I'm going to call it is just Pluto moving into Aquarius and this whole new world we seem to be finding ourselves in. Maybe it's good not to think about right now, tomorrow, the next inch of the way. Maybe it's good for a little while to look farther out. You with me on that? So the first thing that we're going to talk about this week is the November 24th Mercury retrograde. All right. He's already been in his shadow for a while. I've had to record this podcast a couple of times because boy, howdy, Mercury. And I still maintain that it's going to be a good thing in general. Again, to review, when Mercury retrogrades, we think of all the words, rethink, review, redo, revise, reimagine, realign, all those words, right? And now, when we put that into Sagittarius, what are we rethinking? Our long-term goals. Given recent events and how dramatically the world has changed and is going to keep on changing now as Pluto finds his way in Aquarius, the long-term goals that we had set for ourselves might not make as much sense anymore. But I think this Mercury retrograde is going to help us set those goals that will make better sense, okay? And not just because of Sagittarius. Another thing is happening. If you remember, back on November 17th, Mercury opposed Jupiter, and they were in mutual reception. That means Mercury was in Jupiter's sign. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter was in Mercury's sign. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And this is seen by the ancient astrologers as a kind of time when there's a guest in our kingdom, right? And when we have guests, rules of good manners say that we have to take especially good care of them. So even though we've got this Mercury retrograde, he is going to be opposing or moving toward this opposition, this re-opposition of Jupiter, his host, who's going to be blessing him. Okay. So I think that not only is rethinking our long term goals probably a good thing in general, we're going to get these extra blessings from Jupiter. And I think that's going to make this really profound and really, really good. Now, as I said, I have already had to record this episode 2 times. Since starting this podcast, I have never, ever had to do that. Or maybe I did once. I don't think I ever did, but who knows? So, what I'm saying is, even though I'm seeing this as a really, really good Mercury retrograde in the sense of productive and ultimately positive, do expect all the regular Mercury, retrograde shenanigans, right? Miscommunications, misunderstandings, missed appointments, all the miss words. And of course, technology going kerflooey all over the place. Just so you know when it will all be over, Mercury will station direct on December 15th. So that's super good. Then, so we're going to have this rethinking, re-envisioning long-term goals happening. And on November 30th, we're going to get our second new moon of the month. This is so cool. It's almost as if the cosmic forces knew that we were going to need a do-over. So we set those new moon intentions back on the second, no, was it the second? Hold on, let me check on that. Actually, here in Los Angeles, where I am, the first new moon was on the 1st, and now we're getting it on the last day of the month. So it's like bookends. I think that's totally interesting, cool. I don't know what to say. But like I said, it's as if really something bigger than ourselves knew that those intentions we set on the 1st might not still apply, right? We might want to do over. And this second new moon gives us the opportunity to do that. And we'll have those few days of Mercury having us reconsidering things. And then on the 30th, we can set some very informed intentions about long-term goals. I really love this a lot. So what I'm planning on doing this week is what I did last week, where I'm going to go through each of the houses. So you need to look at your natal chart, see which house is occupied by Sagittarius. I'm going to go through each of the houses super briefly. And if you guys don't mind, if you would please leave me a comment somewhere, Substack, free, always free, is probably the easiest place to do that. But wherever you can leave me a comment, do. And let me know if you like me doing this. I got a few people saying they did. I can do this every week. I can give you more detail, or I can cut it out altogether, but I'd really like to know what's valuable to you. Anyway, for this week, I'm going to go through house by house. You're looking at Sagittarius in your natal chart. All right, so the super quick version. The first house, this is about setting intentions around expansion involving self-care, self-image, deeply personal goals, and even body issues. Second house is anything to do with money, right? So long-term goals about increasing your income, adding new streams of revenue, and achieving long-term financial goals. Third house, which is about communication and community, local community. This is going to be long-term goals about communicating better, expanding your audience for your communication, growing through writing or in your writing, and also possibly expanding your role in your local community. I think that's a really interesting one right now. Fourth house is family and home. This is anything to do with long-term goals in those areas. Now, for a lot of people, they'll plan on moving to a larger home or expanding their homes or living space. And a lot of people also, when this happens, when we get this sort of Sagittarius involvement in the fourth house, plans to move abroad. I see it a lot, believe it or not. And since the election, I've been seeing online statistics like people inquiring about rules for moving abroad has increased like 1,000% or something like that. Very interesting. Fifth house, growth in all creative endeavors. So that's expanding your creative vision, expanding your creative reach, whatever that means, long-term goals. It could also be plans to add children to your family. And for some of you, it's, goals around more and better sex. Go you, fifth house people. Sixth house is setting long-term goals around health issues, especially around those day-to-day routines involving diet, exercise, that kind of thing. Seventh house is long-term goals for relationships. Now, this can be like our plans together about, taking our relationship to the next level. But for those of you who aren't yet in long-term or primary one-on-one relationships, this could be goals for like, now I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to get serious with somebody. And what are my plans for getting out there and meeting that perfect someone? Eighth house is perfect for this. It's about investing in the future financially. It's about joint income, right? So joint income is things like debt, loans, all of that. So these could be goals about getting out of debt so that you have a better future. But it's also money that you save in a bank where it's earning interest, right? That's other people's money. And so it could be setting up long-term investment accounts, retirement accounts, that kind of thing. Ninth house is expanding through continuing education, higher education, but also taking your spiritual practice to the next level. And finally, traveling to foreign and exotic places. 10th house is all about career. So this is goal setting for long-term career advancement. Where do I want to be in my career in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, right? Really looking ahead. Do I even want to be in this career in 10 years? It could also involve what's my out plan, right? How am I making sure that I'm moving in the direction so that in 10 years, I don't need to be doing this job anymore, or maybe I'm working for myself, something like that. 11th house is your group identity. So rethinking and expanding your ideas about who you're hanging out with. Who are your friends? What groups are you a member of? Right? You know that saying, birds of a feather flock together or something like that? Are the people in your groups, whether that's your personal friends or any other kind of group, professional, political, community, are these people, are these groups really aligned with who you are? And are they going in the direction where you want to be going long term? All right, does that make sense? 12th house is super interesting because it's the house of isolation. So this might have to do with looking out long term and saying, you know what, I need more me time. I need more time meditating, walking in nature. I need more quiet time, and setting intentions for how you're going to build that into your life and how you're going to make that happen. The other thing, 12th house Sagittarius people will find really beneficial or will work for many of you at least. Sorry, I'm saying that kind of awkwardly, but it's setting mental health goals. That could be getting back into therapy, changing the kind of therapy you're doing or whatever, but really setting those intentions around mental health issues. So that's about it as far as the houses. There's a lot of other stuff going on this week. We've got, all kinds of squaring with Saturn and all kinds of other stuff. There are always a million things I could talk to you guys about, but I think we're going to do really well this week if we focus on that do-over energy. I'm really calling this the do-over week because we've got the retrograde and a second new moon. Do-over, do-over, both in Sagittarius, long-term vision, right? It's a very unified week in some ways. And I feel like if we focus there, we're going to make really good use of this cosmic energy. So I'd love to hear how all of this works out for everyone. I am really hoping that it's going to be a productive and enlightening week. And it's a week when, even though we're looking long term, we're looking at ourselves. What do I want? How do I align? How do I expand and reach those goals that are my goals? And maybe after everything going on that we have little or no control over, maybe it's a good time to focus on self, right? I hope that's the case. So as always, I want to thank you all so much. It's truly an honor to get to share these ideas with you and sort of establish a community where we can, I don't know, just sort of look at what's out there and figure out how to align with each other and align with ourselves and align with the cosmos. I take this role very seriously. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you. And I'd also like to ask you a giant favor. If you could share this podcast, that would be awesome. And I would be eternally grateful. It is really the only way for a new show to grow. There's only so much I can do. And so it requires the community spreading the word, and I'd be super grateful. But if you don't want to, that's cool too. I'm still glad you're here. And yeah, for people in the United States, we have Thanksgiving this week. I know that also is a sort of loaded thing. So if you celebrate it, I am certainly wishing you the best. And if you don't, I understand that. And I'm wishing you the best as well. And people worldwide have a wonderful, whatever it is you guys do during this week. If nothing else, have a great end of November. So until next week, go out and seize the energies of the stars. This is my wish for you always. And, when I come back to you, it's going to be December. How crazy is that? All right. Until then, bye.